Gather round, Kidmin leaders, and be encouraged and equipped as you build the kingdom. Now here's your host, Amber Pike.
Welcome back to the Kidmin Huddle. We're talking today about the hats we wear in Kidmin, and I don't mean physical, though I brought some for just a fun little visual. I've got my cowgirl hat for this summer's VBS. King's crown, gotta have a crown. My shepherd's hat is a new purchase for me when we're acting out so many shepherd stories in the Bible, and it comes with the most uncomfortable little shepherd's beard ever. And then we have to have some silly hats, taco hat and pizza hat. I have more hats, and you likely do as well. Both the costume type, but then also the roles that we have. Have you ever used the phrase maybe with your kids or something like, okay, I'm taking off my Miss Amber hat and I'm putting on my mom hat right now? It's just a silly phrase that talks about the different roles that we have. And you as a children's ministry leader wear a lot of hats. Sometimes when we're feeling underappreciated, we feel like nobody knows, sees, or cares how much we do. And if that is you, I want you to know that I see you, I empathize with you, I have been there, and I want to cheer you on. I have been in situations where I felt very underappreciated. I remember feeling just frustrated that if I made a mistake or, forgot my cue to pop up on stage for my part in the service, that the leadership was very frustrated with me because I forgot my cue. But then I'm sitting there thinking, do you all know what I've done so far today? Do you know how many different roles that I have filled today? And all you have done is get ready for this one thing. Friends, been there, done that. I see you and I'm cheering you on because we do. We fill a lot of roles. We put on a lot of hats. Sometimes we're stacking them all at the same time. And you're giving your all because you understand how eternally important that children's ministry is and how all of these roles are important. For a breakout recently that I did, I made a list of all of the tasks I could think of that I would do in an average year as a children's minister. Now, I want you to do the same. So get out some paper, sparkly pen. Those are my favorite. Or right now I have a pen with a fun, like squishy thing on the end, and I'm going to be sad when it dies. I pick my pens. It's very important. So get out your favorite pen and some paper, pause this podcast, and make a list of all of the tasks, individual tasks that you do every year and make it detailed. So curriculum isn't a task, but picking out the curriculum is, sending it to volunteers is, prepping for each individual lesson is, break it down, all the tasks that you can think of. Pause, go make your task list. Now you're back from your task list. How many did you come up with? Because when I made this list, I spent about 5, maybe 10 minutes, and my page was full with multiple columns. It's a lot of tasks. And when I look at these, they're all important tasks. In my book, Intentional Children's Ministry, I talk about some of the different hats that you wear in ministry that are all important and all need to be done with excellence. So we're going to talk about 4 different hats today that are really important, that need your intentionality, that need some planning, and need to be prioritized. The first one is your connecting with and follow-up hat. How are you doing these things? If you have a new family visiting, do you have a plan in place to follow up with them? This takes some before planning because you have to capture contact info or you can't follow up with them. So how is that happening? What connection points are being made with that new visitor so that they feel like they want a contact follow-up? By the way, I have a whole podcast episode on this if you missed it. We were in this situation recently where we had new families, and I talked about the things that I did to follow up. Go check out that podcast. What about when you have a family that hasn't been there for a few weeks? What's your plan? Do you have a plan in place? Because sometimes that simple, hey, where have you been? Missed you guys. It's important. Now, side note, if we are making sure that we are building relationships, that follow up, hey, haven't seen you guys, feels less judgy and more genuine. Ooh, that needs to be a quote. Less judgy, more genuine. When you're building the relationships, then the I miss you, I haven't seen you takes on a whole different light. But it still needs to happen. Hey, where have you been? I miss you. What's your plan? Is it a phone call, a text? Email, postcard. What about to the kid, to the parent? Speaking of parents, how are you connecting with parents? If you are like me, and I know many of you are, not in all the ways, but in this way, I would much rather be with kids or teens than with adults. Are you the same? The first kind of negative feedback I got when I started out in children's ministry was, Amber's really great with the kids, but it doesn't seem like she tries very hard to connect with the parents. And it didn't because parents are outside of my comfort zone. Grown-ups are outside of my comfort zone. Unless I'm in a teaching or facilitating, like a professional setting, if I'm just supposed to small talk with you, ooh, I'm a little uncomfortable. Now, most people do not realize this about me because I seem very extroverted. I am not actually. And if you put me in a situation with adults where I am just supposed to small talk and chit chat, I'm uncomfortable. I try not to show it. It's something that I work really hard at, but I am uncomfortable. That sometimes includes with parents. It feels very forced to me to try to build relationships with parents. But it is so important that I do it. So my plan is coffee dates, building relationships, texting, Facebook messaging, commenting on their stuff, doing all of those things to lay a foundation of a relationship. But I have a plan. What about for your volunteers? How are you connecting with your volunteers? Because they are not just sub number 4 who you can call in a pinch. They are people. They are your fellow brother and sister in Christ, and they need more contact from you than, hey, I've got you slated to serve on this date. They need relationship and connection. So how do I do all of these? Well, my favorite way is Happy Mail. I love Happy Mail. I sent one out to a parent today. I actually made specific Happy Mail for this parent. She is crazy about cows. So my Instagram to her is just cow videos and reels and memes. So many cows. I'm not a farm person. I don't like dirt and bugs and animals. Phobia of snakes and the things that live in the ground. Like when I take a walk, whew, it's rough. And every rustle, I'm like, am I going to be okay? But I know this mom loves cows. So I made a card on Canva with cows just for her. I love Happy Meal. Parents want Happy Meal too. Now, this is great for kids when you're connecting with kids, new visitors, haven't been there for a while, birthdays, all of that is great. Even just that I'm praying for you. Hey, I'm just connecting with you. It's good for parents as well. Because, man, if you get something exciting in the mail, aren't you happy? Called Happy Meal, not bills. Connect with parents and volunteers that way as well. So postcards, so good. I will fill them with stickers. I will put confetti. I will put glitter in them. I have some dinosaur confetti, and it's really exciting. Those are very good tools to connect with, and you can make them for all of your events. You can have I'm praying for you. You can have a whole repertoire of cards and Happy Mail. It takes some stamps and a little bit of time, but it is a great way to connect with and follow up with. It feels a little less intrusive. I think knowing your demographic is helpful too. I had a youth pastor who was calling parents when he started new at the church, and they found that very bad. They hated it. They're like, why is this person calling me? I don't want a phone call. No, if you've got Gen Z parents, they don't want a phone call. A lot of millennials aren't loving it either. Some of them don't answer text. So again, it goes back to that relationship. How are you getting to know your people? Do they answer their emails? Do they respond good by texting? Are they phone call people? As you're building the relationship, use those ways to connect with them. But I don't think anybody ever turns down Happy Mail. It's that little personal touch. Hey, I'm cared about. So your connect with and follow up hat is an important one that you're always working on. Another hat that you need is so important, has to always be on. So this is one of those layering hats you always need to have on, your safety and security hat. Do you have policies in place to protect the children and your leaders? If you do not, stop this podcast right now and go make a policy. Reach out to me, apike0292@gmail.com, apike@renewnation.org. Message me, Amber Pike, online, Instagram, Facebook. Find me. I will send you my document that I have for my church, and you can use it as a starting place, but you have to have a policy that needs to be constantly enforced. Bare minimum background checks, Background checks don't catch everything, though. Reference checks are really good too. You need a policy on when a person can serve. Do they need to be a member? For how long? You need a policy on how many children, your adult to kids ratio. You should never have an adult in a room with a closed door with kids. This needs to be enforced. How are you making sure that kids are staying safe? Now, small church ministry, right? Surely I don't need this. Surely I can just go, whatever. Here's my kids. I don't need information on them. I can just let anybody serve, right? I'm small church. No. I don't care if you are a micro church with 2 families, like total the whole church, or if you are a mega multi-site church with hundreds and thousands of families. You have to have a policy that is being enforced. You think it can't happen at your church until it does. So you need a policy. In small church, you're going to have custody issues. I have one. I took information on a child. Now, we don't have a digital check-in because we are very small, but I have a paper registration form. Hello, child visiting with us today. Please fill out this form so I can make sure your child is safe and secure. Ooh, for a family visiting, that's a win, right? Ooh, okay, they take safety very seriously. So I see on there, do they have any allergy information or any allergy issues or medical concerns I need to be aware about? I need to know that I'm not going to kill a child, right? And then even family preferences. I have some girls who their family doesn't do artificial dyes. So I make sure I have a candy alternative. What about a photo release? Can you take pictures of that child? I have a family. I can't take pictures of the children. I respect the family's wishes, but know that sometimes your opinion really doesn't matter because you could endanger a child. There are families with photo release information where their kids can't be on social media because it could endanger the life of a child. Custody issues, foster care situations. But if you're not getting that information, either paper form, digital check-in, you don't know that. What about your volunteers? Now, we had this situation recently where we had someone come to church for the first time and they wanted to volunteer with the kids. Because I had on my safety and security hat, oh man, I should have brought one, waving a proverbial red flag. That's a red flag. Now, this might be the best person in the world. They might be awesome and no big deal. Or the red flag is that these are signs that are often attributed to predators. So had I not had my safety and security hat on and said, hey, I love that you want to work with kids. Thank you so much. But we have a policy in place that you need to be a member for a year before you can volunteer in the children's programming. Did I stop something? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm not taking the risk. Your safety and security hat always needs to be on. You need to have your eyes wide open, looking for red flags, things that don't seem right. Get yourself some training. KidCheck is an amazing organization that has training at the wazoo. I did a podcast with Angela from KidCheck. Please go watch it. You don't have to use their program, their check-in system to take advantage of their resources. Safety and security is something you always have to be mindful of, enforcing, watching out for, doing. That hat stays on, never gets taken off. I cannot encourage that enough. Please, again, if you have questions, reach out to me, especially small church. Next hat that we need to be having on is our parent equipping hat. We know that as much as we love children's ministry, as much as we love what we do, we are not the primary disciple makers of the children. God called moms and dads to be the primary disciple makers, and we are to equip the church, meaning teaching the kids, but then also training and equipping mom and dad. How are you doing that? Now, for children's ministry, a lot of us think resourcing. You are likely sending home some good, hopefully, resources to parents. Again, I have some podcast episodes. Go check those out. I'm very picky when it comes to my resources. I want them to actually help grow a family's faith. But the part that we tend to forget about, where we need to maybe swap out our hat, if I'm going with my metaphor, we need to train, not just resource. So what is this going to look like for you? I knew at my last church that training was important, and I had a plan. In retrospect, I don't think my plan was as successful as I wanted it to be. It was a very light approach to training parents. I was making these short little videos that I was sending out for parents, and I was doing the right things in that they knew that the videos were coming. They were given to them in multiple ways with multiple reminders. Some parents were watching these, but it was a very light approach to training because I didn't want to offend because I had new parents, new Christians, seasoned Christians. I was trying to find that balance, and it was too soft of an approach because my parents were lukewarm, and this didn't help them disciple more. So, what is your training plan? I'm going to encourage you pick one training piece that you're putting on your church calendar. What does it look like? Is it going to be a training meeting? Are you going to use a small group time to do a training study? Are you going to send out a virtual training, but much stronger than my little short videos? What is that one training piece that you're going to do for your parents this year? So for us at my current church, I'm a volunteer. And I didn't want to come in, guns a-blazing saying, listen to me, this is how you're supposed to disciple your kids. But things progressed in the church to where we needed to start another adult Sunday school class. And so this is kind of I'm calling it the after high school, but before Medicare age group, because we have an older mom who's taken custody of a great niece. And so you can't call it like young adults. We're kind of, I don't know, we're the middle age, not middle aged, but the kind of middle age group of parents. So age-wise, it's just adults. But they chose to do a resource on parenting, which has been a really big win. And the people attending the class are just loving it. So we used our Sunday school hour, a new Sunday school class, to do a parent training. And this was Gospel Shaped Parenting by New Growth Press. Very impressed with that resource and just the depth of the books. So I think they're actually going to be choosing another New Growth Press one to do next. And then I think a parent or a marriage one after that. So Sunday school, small group could be an option for you to do some training. I did family small groups, which was a training piece as well, where I was training them how to disciple without telling them I was training them how to disciple. So how are you training and equipping parents? That's an important hat that kind of like safety and security always needs to be on. And the last hat, not completely, but that we're talking about in this episode, is your lesson prep hat. Chances are this is where you spend the bulk of your time. If you were to go and rank those tasks that you made a list of and put them in order of how much time you're spending on each one, lesson prep is probably getting the most of your time. It is a very important task because that is why the kids come to church, to learn about Jesus. They are not coming for the fun. They're not coming for the snacks. They need to come to learn about Jesus. So your lesson prep is important. I talk a lot about choosing the right curriculum, and I want to go over it just, a little briefly, little reminder for you. Are you teaching biblical depth? Give kids more. They're capable of more. Are you teaching the biblical narrative? I did a whole post the other day on social media about timelines. I love timelines, and I use them way more than I even thought I used them because it helps show the biblical narrative. You're connecting the people, the places, the events together. That is so important. You can add that into any curriculum you're doing. Why is it important? Because it helps children understand that God's story is one big story. It's the story of his redemptive love for his creation, not a bunch of disjointed pieces, stories that sometimes, because they're just, hey, a story makes us think a fable or something made up. But that's not true. That's not the case. God's word is true. Every bit of it is truth. It happened. God was there. We need to teach it as such. Then how we're teaching is equally as important. We need to be engaging kids. It needs to be an active learning. So you can have the best curriculum in the world that is deep and meaty and teaching the narrative. It's got doctrine and theology and apologetics. But if we're teaching it badly, they're not engaging with it or hearing any of those truths from God's word. So make it fun. Make it interactive. What are you doing to draw kids in? So I have a segment from my next lesson talking about the different ways we can be saved. And keep in mind, I have youngers. So I'm like, well, I could make a screen game and I could put it up there and they could move to a side of the room. But I already had them doing a move to the side of the room game in there because I like full body activities because it re-engages them back if they got a little squirrely. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a little sign. So I'm making a thumbs up and a thumbs down sign. It's in production, so I can't show you yet. And it's going to have a card on it and a stick. And they're going to flip it and show me the right side if they think, yes, that's a way that we can be saved, or no. It's interactive. It's fun. Man, they get a sign. So could totally do it with just their actual thumbs, but I'm choosing to make it a little extra, a little interactive. How are you adding these pieces to engage kids in the lesson using lots of different techniques, learning styles, smarts? How are you doing it? Are you involving math and logic and words and art and music and all of these things that they're moving their bodies and they have a chance to work with others or by themselves? I love teaching on this. If you want some help, please reach out. I love talking about learning and teaching and making it good and fun and interactive. Now, I will warn you, it's exhausting. I was so tired this past Sunday after I did Sunday school and I sang in worship. And then I taught children's church and I had bags of props. We did a magnetile prayer station and we did Hosanna Rock and I brought fossils and they made their own fossils for Sunday school because that was part of our lesson. And then I had all these props to engage them in Jesus's resurrection or his death on the cross. And I was tired by the time I went home. But the kids are learning because they're engaged in it. So your lesson prep hat is a really important hat that you need to make sure you're giving a lot of time to. Just showing up on Sunday, opening the book for the first time and reading the lesson is not going to cut it. We want kids to learn about Jesus. We want them to know, love, and follow him. We want to see them become lifelong disciples of Christ. Well, we need to make sure that we're teaching them in a way that they're hearing and understanding. So your lesson prep hat's super important, but it is not the only hat you should be wearing. We have to make sure with our hats that we have a good balance. Some weeks are going to look different than another. So you might have a week that's really heavy on VBS prep, but you can't forget about the other hats too. How are you balancing all of the things to make sure you are giving emphasis and priority to the things that need to be and not forgetting something? Maybe this looks like some evaluation. Maybe you need to track, where are you spending your time? Are you giving the focus to the right things? Are things getting forgotten because you just run out of time? So maybe go and track for a month. What am I doing with my time? Then look and see, are there areas that you need to delegate? Maybe you're really bad with getting those postcards in the mail for follow-up. Is there someone in your church? Maybe they're not even on your team. Maybe this is an older congregation member who has the time, could send some postcards if you give them a birthday list and they are happy to do birthday postcards. Do you need to delegate some areas? Are there areas that you need to cut out? I said that the things are all important, but maybe they're not. Maybe there are some events that you need to cut out because it's a lot of work and isn't yielding the fruit that you want to see. This comes back to having a mission and vision statement to make sure everything's in alignment. I don't do Easter eggs. I had someone offer the other day, hey, do you want Easter eggs? I've got a bunch. I don't. I'm not going to do any more egg hunts. I just decided that that wasn't where I wanted to spend my time, energy, and resources, and that I could do more discipling kids than giving them some candy. No, I'm team candy all the way. Are there things that you need to cut? Maybe you need a better schedule to where you can make sure that you are doing it. If you check out my website, also the Renew Nation website, I have a Kidmin planner. It is a one page. I've got a month view and a week view. And this is something that actually I'm going to be using. I made it for me. I already write out my lessons. Here's what I'm doing because I write my own lessons. I'm not using a scope and sequence. I need a plan. I need to be intentional about it so I don't show up on Saturday night and go, what am I going to teach about today? There's a plan. I'm already planning out what resources am I sending home? How am I doing this? Well, now I have it all on one page instead of a bunch of sticky notes. So it's going to talk about your lessons, your focus. Happy Mail, it's going to challenge you to do it consistently. It's going to have a space for birthdays and shopping list, parent training, volunteer training, appreciation, equipping. Those are some key ones. It doesn't talk about safety and security because that should always be on. But how are you doing it? I've got some other planners you might want to check out, like a family resource planner, a volunteer planner with appreciation. Figure out what system works for you. Maybe you need a big giant wall calendar to keep you on track. Maybe you need a planning meeting with your key volunteers or leaders or staff. How are you making sure that all of the things are getting done? And then I also want to encourage you, part of this hat balance is there's a you hat. So I have a Miss Amber hat, but then I have an Amber hat. And I need to make sure that I'm taking the time to rest. I'm taking the time to feed myself spiritually. I'm taking the time to be mom. You are not just a children's ministry leader all the time. Are you a parent, a spouse, a child, a daughter or a son? You have other responsibilities. Make sure you're giving them part of your time and attention as well, especially your faith walk. So hopefully I've given you a lot to think about. Are you balancing your hats well? Are they in order? Are you forgetting a hat? Do you need to delegate some tasks? Do you need to plan with more intentionality to where you can do all the things that need to be done with excellence so that you can see boys and girls become lifelong disciples of Christ? And remember, what you do matters.